Hello everyone, Minglawa. This is MMTV and you're watching a weekly news program. This week, we will be presenting the Myanmar's domestic affairs and the situations, starting off with the situation of interest between the international countries and also the difficulties and atrocities that are being faced within the country. This is Nui Umar, and here's a recap of the latest news. As a news summary, we have the UN Human Rights Council unanimously approved a draft resolution on the Myanmar issues on April 4, 2023. Ambassador Ujol Moulton asked the international community not to sell weapons to the military dictators and to build a small-scale nuclear power plant by the coup army. British Ambassador Simon Manley said that he will stand with the Burmese citizens who have endured the brutality of the war by the terrorist military council. Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi said that there is progress in the discussions on the Myanmar issue. The Saintban flower trees on Aung San Suu Kyi Road in Mandalay have been removed. There are more than 1.8 million refugees nationwide. And also the latest information about the Shui Koko battle. There are 2 deaths in the Shui Koko New Town battle, and more than 4,000 residents have fled to Thailand. Moya village strike leader Go Wemunai was sentenced to 34 years in prison. 20 years to be served concurrently with the previously imposed crimes. The total jail term has reached 32 years, and there are 2 more cases left to face. Democratic force urged to boycott Dingzhen, which the military council will continue to celebrate. Firstly, we have the news that the UN Human Rights Council unanimously approved a draft resolution on the Myanmar issue on April 4, 2023. A draft resolution on the Myanmar issue was unanimously approved by the United Nations Human Rights Council on April 4. In that decision, the Myanmar military human rights violations and the terrorist actions have been pointed out and condemned after the military coup. United Nations members countries should not illegally export weapons to the Myanmar military so that they do not continue to violate human rights. It was also urged not to sell the weapons, for which it can be also leading towards taking actions against officials in international court. Michaela Taylor, the United Nations Human Rights Council ambassador to the United States, said, "We see and hear what the people in Myanmar are suffering. I want to say that we have not forgotten about the Myanmar citizens." As the people of Myanmar have consistently demanded, the international community needs to take strong action and respond. If we have to do anything, we need to block the sale of weapons so that they don't get into the hands of the Myanmar military. We need to impose economic sanctions. She also said that according to the result of the 2020 democratic elections, the will of the people needs to be considered and respected, and the Myanmar Military Council should be surrendered under those decisions. We should stop the human rights violations in Burma and help those responsible for war crimes to take actions in international and regional courts, including ICJ and ICC. To share information and evidence with the all UN bodies, including the UN investigation team IIMM, which is looking for evidence to take such actions, I urge you to help, she said. Coming up next, Ambassador Ujol Moulton urged the international community not to sell weapons to military dictators and to build a small-scale nuclear power plant by the coup army. On April 4, at the meeting of the United Nations Disarmament Commission held at the United Nations headquarters in New York City, Ambassador Ujol Moulton said, "Controlling the sale of arms to the Myanmar military saved the lives of the Burmese citizens." Ambassador Ujol Moulton asked at the United Nations meeting held yesterday, April 5th, that countries that are responsible for using weapons to torture and kill the citizens, not for the defense of the country, should refrain from selling weapons. The weapons and munitions that have arrived to the Burmese military are aerial bombardment. He said that no responsible country will sell arms to any dictator who encouraged the brutality committed by the military against the innocent Myanmar people, including shooting with heavy weapons and used weapons not to defend the country but to kill and torture citizens who oppose the military. The people of Burma have also spoken on behalf of all the people that they are asking the military council to stop arms sales to countries that are exporting weapons. The Myanmar military is not transparent about the rules and regulations that must be followed for the operation of the nuclear plant. Ambassador Ujo Morton, Myanmar permanent representative to the United Nations, has urged the international community to pay close attention to the Myanmar military's effort to build a small-scale nuclear power plant, as it ignores the rules of law without management systems and does not comply with international laws, including international humanitarian law. Coming up next, British Ambassador Simon Manley said that he will stand with the Burmese citizens who have endured the brutality of the war on military terrorist council. British Ambassador Simon Manley said that the Burmese people are full of courage and that the British stand with the Burmese citizens who've endured the brutality of the Burmese coup military council. At the 52nd meeting of the United Nations Human Rights Council held in Geneva, British Ambassador Simon Manley spoke about the human rights situations in Myanmar. The Burmese coup military council has no respect for international laws, human rights, and democracy by the actions of arbitrary threats in Myanmar, including the Rohingyas and other minorities who are being persecuted and tortured on a daily basis. He said that they are violating human rights and restricting freedoms with committing sexual violence, targeted attacks on civilian buildings. In addition, the dissolution of 40 political parties, including the National League for Democracy, in the last week is said to be such an insult to the rights of the citizens of Myanmar. He also called on all the UN processes to fully cooperate in an independent investigation into Myanmar to end impunity for the Myanmar military despite its continued violence and to hold the military accountable for its crimes. He also said that since the Myanmar army is using weapons to commit atrocities against the people of Myanmar, no UN member country should stop importing and selling weapons to Myanmar. The next news we have, Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi said that there is progress in the discussions on the Myanmar issue. Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi said that the UN Security Council held a closed-door discussions on the Myanmar issue on March 30, and at the meeting they supported Indonesian leadership in accordance with the 5 ASEAN Common Agreements. He spoke at a press conference held on April 5 about the measures taken in the 3 months since Indonesia took over as the rotating chairman of ASEAN. We are having discussions with the stakeholders to resolve the Myanmar issue. The discussions are also progressing, he said. Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi also said that they are holding meetings with key people according to the common consensus held by ASEAN and are also holding meetings with people who have not discussed before. Myanmar activists are also demanding that ASEAN hold official meetings with the National Unity Government (NUG). Up next, the Saintban flower trees on Aung San Suu Kyi Road in Mandalay have been removed. It is known that the Saintban trees are being cut down and other plants are being planted on the side of the 38th Street, which is known as Dor Aung San Suu Kyi Street. Residents in Mandalay said that there are more than 200 Saintban trees on the road, and when the flower blossoms, the entire road turns red. Some of the uprooted Saintban trees are up to 3 feet in diameter and are being spared by environmentalists. A resident said that they are cutting down large shade trees with a height of 30 to 40 feet and replacing them with 5 foot tall Dabye Buddha trees. There are hundreds of Saintban trees. The fog on the side of the road allows people to take shelter. The plants are already quite big. About 30 people and cars from the municipality carrying plants also came to work on that. Now, about 2/3 of it have been cleared. A local from Mandalay had said that this act of cutting down trees is an act of shame for them. People have designated Dor Aung San Suu Kyi Road as the Saintban flowers blooming, so it must be because they don't want it to be red. When the sabum blossoms, the entire road usually turns red with the flowers, but small yellow-flowered sycamore trees are being transplanted among the road. Coming up next, there are more than 1.8 million refugees nationwide. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, UNOCHA, announced yesterday, April 5, that there are more than 1.8 million people who have fled their homes due to armed conflicts in various regions and states in Myanmar. The data collected as of March 27, 2023 show that 1.8 million people have fled their homes, and more than 1.4 million of them are due to conflict and insecurity since the 2021 coup dictatorship. Conflicts continue to occur in many states and regions, including heavy weapons fire and airstrikes. The explosions and the arrest of civilians by army convoys in places such as Pakan from Kachin State, Monyan, Shwegu, and Siprabom townships are also mentioned in the UNOCHA statement. In early March last year, more than 1,300 civilians who fled their homes in the Shwegu township villages were living in temporary camps in the jungles. He said he needed shelter and some equipment. He also reminded that the humanitarian partners are preparing to meet the needs of those fleeing their homes. Here's the latest information about Shwekoko battle. There are 2 deaths in the Shwekoko near town battle, and more than 4,000 residents have fled to Thailand. On the morning of April 5th, KNLA and People Defense Joint Forces in the area of KNU Brigade 7 attacked 2 BGF outposts of the Border Guard Force in the village of Tikal near Shwekoko New Town, north of Myawari current state. Fighting continued until the morning of April 6th. 2 military helicopters flew around the area, more than 4,000 villagers and local residents from the Thailand. They ran away towards the village of Dekta, Debage, Nuikalo, and Wampasai. The Thai army does not let us go to the towns and villages. It is reported that they were forced to live temporarily in rubber farms and cattle farms. Coming up next, Moya village strike leader Go Wemunai was sentenced to 34 years in prison. 20 years is to be served concurrently with the previously imposed crimes. The total jail term has reached 32 years, and there are 2 more cases left to face. On April 5th, the military council sentenced Go Wemunai, one of the leaders of the Moya Strike Committee and the former president of the Moya University Students' Union, to 34 years in prison with 5 articles. On April 15, 2021, Go Wemunai was arrested after being hit by a car by the military council on the main road in Mongyua town while riding his motorcycle back from a strike against the military coup. After the arrest, Go Wemunai was ordered by the military council under Article 505A and 6, Article 148 of the Penal Code, which is participation in riots. He was also charged with more than a dozen articles, including robbery, hurting someone while committing a robbery, and the Article 323 of causing ordinary pain. After that, in 2022, in August, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison for 2 years each for 5 cases under the section of 505A. As for the last, but definitely not the least, democratic forces urged to boycott Dinjan, which the military council will continue to celebrate. People are asked not to participate in the Dinjan festival that will be held by the military council during the new year, as in previous years. Groups opposed to the military council urged not to use military products. This year is the revolutionary Dinjan period, and we will urge the public. I will urge you not to go to the pavilions of the military council. I will also call for a boycott of artist performances related to the military council. I will advocate not to use military products. When they travel, they stop at hotels that benefit the military. We will also appeal to the bus lines to boycott. The military council is trying to demoralize the political prisoners in the prison to demoralize PDF and ethnic armed group. The CDMs who are struggling with all kinds of difficulties are frustrated with the revolution. He said that they are also creating all sorts of fun events to make the people of the fire victims sad, and we need not to participate in these fun events. During Dinjan, the forces opposing the military council urged not to use passenger lines and hotels and not to order the military and military-related goods. To conclude, everyone, this is a recap of the news that went down during this week. As you all know, Myanmar is still trying to recover democracy and human rights in many various ways. To everyone who is watching this video, we would like to request to help us restore the democracy and also basic human rights in relation to the current Myanmar affairs. Thank you all very much. See you next week on the episode of the weekly news from MMTV. This is Nui Uma. ကျေးဇူးတင်ပါတယ်